Hello everyone, my name is Veritas and welcome back to Destiny. Now, as a gesture of good hope and happiness towards Rise of Iron, which is coming out next week, I thought it would be nice to do a couple lists like this throughout the week, kind of winding up towards Rise of Iron coming out next Tuesday. So I decided to do a couple top 5, top 10 lists in the week leading up to Rise of Iron's launch. So I asked my friend Kat what his favorite items in the game were. We have a few different of these videos to show you. The first one here is going to be over shaders. So our top 10 shaders in the first 2 years of Destiny. So for this, I'm going to start off reading off Kat's list as number 10 through 6, and then I'll read mine off as 6 through 1, because I value my opinion more than his. Number 10, Mercenary Dawn. Mercenary Dawn is a quest reward from Taken King. I believe you get it from completing the Warlock quest lines. You might get it from Titan. It might actually be Titan, but I'm not entirely sure. Regardless, you get it from doing a class quest line for Taken King. I think this shader looks pretty good on everybody, but for his list, I'm going to be showing off the Hunter only, just because he really only plays Hunter. Number 9, Lion Dancer. Lion Dancer is a reward, I believe, from the Cryptarch. It was added in the April update, and it's one of the more flashy shaders in the game, in my opinion. I'm not entirely sure why he likes it, but it's on the list anyway, and I respect his opinion enough to keep it on the list, even though it looks a little silly. But it actually doesn't look terrible on Hunters and Warlocks. I don't think it looks great on Titans, but you might see this shader around being the Iron Man shader. Number 8, Amalthea. Amalthea is a faction shader from New Monarchy. New Monarchy is Kat's favorite faction, so it only makes sense that one of his favorite shaders is from said faction. You can obtain this shader for yourself by leveling up New Monarchy and opening faction packages, and hoping that this shader drops, if you like the look of it, that is. I also think that New Monarchy faction members tend to be more PvP oriented, which is strange because he doesn't like PvP at all, but that's just my 2 cents. Number 7, the Old Guard. The Old Guard was a reward for veteran players of Year 1 coming into Year 2. This shader, as well as a Sparrow and Emblem, were added into the game in Year 2 when Taken King came out for those that played during Year 1. I actually like the look of this one, so I agree that it's a good shader, and I like that it's on this list. It's the first one on the list of his that I actually like personally, but I never really use it. But it's a good looking shader. It also shares the same tooltip icon as Revenant, I believe, which is a Dead Orbit shader. Number 6. Arctic Proxy. Arctic Proxy is a number 6. Arctic Proxy. Arctic Proxy was obtainable from the Cryptarch back in Year 1, I believe. It might have been added in during Year 2, but I'm pretty sure it was one of the original shaders from the Cryptarch. So, vanilla Cryptarch unlock. I don't know if you can still get it now. You might be able to, but I'm not entirely sure. I got mine way back in the early months of Destiny, so I couldn't tell you anymore. But this is one of the better looking shaders on his list, in my opinion. I think it looks fantastic with everyone, namely the Hunter and Warlock, though. So, if you like this shader, try to level up your Cryptarch in hopes that this thing drops, if it is still available. Now let's head into my list, the top 5. Number 5, Walkabout. Walkabout was added into the game code, technically in vanilla. It's been in the game as long as I can remember, but it was never really obtainable. Finally, in the April update in 2016, which puts this as one of the newer shaders on the list, it was finally made available from Vanguard strikes. Technically the level 36 strike, even though I think I got it from the heroic, I'm not entirely sure. But this was a shader that I wanted for a long time since it was a very purple and very shiny shader. Purple being my favorite color, obviously this was a choice that I wanted to get. I was sad when I couldn't get it at the very beginning, but eventually, thanks to the April update, this shader was made available, and I haven't really used it since, but that's probably why it's number 5 on the list. Just a hopeful that never really came through. Number 4, Vals Guard. Vals Guard was also added into the game in the April update. I can't remember if you get this from doing strikes or if you get it from leveling up the Cryptarch. I'm pretty sure it's the Cryptarch. Regardless, this shader looks fantastic with pretty much anything you wear. So, that's one of those most sought after shaders in the game just because it looks so good and pretty much everyone that knows about it wants one. I was lucky enough to acquire it and I wear it from time to time because it just looks really good with fabric. Number 3, Nineveh 8611. This is the one of the only faction shaders on the list. Nineveh 8611 was a shader that it was just my most sought after shader for the longest time. The entirety of year 1 I spent leveling up Future War Cult after I learned that the Future War Cult had some of the best looking shaders in the game, this one being the best of the best. I personally like very colorful shaders, lots of bright, shiny nonsense, so this was a shader that I really wanted from the beginning. And finally, nearing the end of House of Wolves, I finally got this to drop from a faction package. If you like the look of this, go ahead and align with Future War Cult and level it up. This has to be one of the best looking shaders in the game in my opinion, and I think it looks best on Hunters. Number 2. Rose Gold. Originally, Rose Gold was obtained from PreDawn during the second week event of Destiny Vanilla called Queen's Wrath. A lot of players don't remember this event, but you may still have some items left over from it. Queen's Wrath came out the second week of Vanilla and lasted for a week or two, I'm not entirely sure. But that event allowed you to do Queen bounties, go and find Queen ship, armor, and weapons, and also, if you were lucky enough to level it up, you could acquire one of 2 shaders or both, one of which being Rose Gold, the other Prism Dancer. Rose Gold has a special place in my heart because it was the better looking of the 2, and I think it was the one that was harder to get, actually. You can acquire Rose Gold and Prism Dancer from PreDawn in the Reef right now if you want it, but you also have to rank up PreDawn to get it. Before we get to number 1, I want to mention 2 honorable mentions. There are 2 shaders in the game that aren't on this list for neither me nor Kat, but I think they look alright with certain classes and certain armor setups. They're also 2 of the rarest shaders in the game, so I thought it'd be nice to show them off if you guys haven't seen them before. So, the first of our 2 honorable mentions is, of course, Blacksmith. Blacksmith originally was available from pre-ordering Call of Duty Advanced Warfare back in 2014. A lot of people that did pre-order it didn't actually get shader codes, which was a huge problem, and then Blacksmith has been given out at certain conventions, certain events by Bungie, and of course the infamous selling online. You can find these on eBay for a lot of money, or you can get lucky and have a friend that knows a friend that knows a friend, or just eventually get lucky and find a code. But these things are some of the hardest things to come by, and also one of the more controversial shaders in the game, just because of the black market for them. The other honorable mention on the list is Infinite Link. Infinite Link is a refer a friend shader you get by referring a friend in Destiny, and then completing the quest lines until, of course, you get a shader reward. You also get a sparrow and an emblem and things like that. But this is the only refer a friend thing on this list, because it's the only shader that you can get from refer a friend. But Refer a Friend looks best, I believe, on Warlocks and Hunters. It doesn't look very good on Titans. All of that, and I actually forgot to record the number 1 shader on the list. This is taking place days later, but number 1, we finally reached it. The pinnacle of all shaderdom is here and is at last revealed to be PreDawn. PreDawn is a shader from Eris Morn back in the Dark Below DLC. Back when you could level her up for faction reputation and going and killing Crota and all that fun stuff. Back when there was a bounty for doing the Nightfall and killing enemies of the darkness, things like that. Eris Morn offered 3 shaders, PreDawn being the favorite of all 3 of them. PreDawn looks just fantastic on every class, any set of armor, anything you can imagine. PreDawn is the best shader in the game in terms of style, colorization, all of that fun stuff. If you don't have this shader, find a way to get it. I don't even know if it's still available or if it really was just a Dark Below only thing. So, if you have this shader, go find it. I really hope there's still a way to get it, because it would be a darn shame if it did become unavailable when she stopped selling it. But, yeah, that's going to be it for me, though. PreDawn, number 1, all years, stuff like that. The next couple of videos are going to be going over a bunch of different things. There's a top 6 list, a top 10, another top 5, things like that. So, we have a couple more of these. They get more interesting as we go along. They're not all going to be shaders. But, yeah, we hope you guys enjoy these things, and we hope you guys are excited for Rise of Iron. If there was a shader not on this list that you guys thought was your favorite, or we mentioned one of your favorites, or we didn't mention your favorite, or we mentioned one that you don't like, let us know in the comments below. I'm interested to see what you guys like in terms of shaders. With a couple new ones coming in Rise of Iron, hopefully we'll find some new favorites. Hopefully new ones that we haven't seen will be added in. And yeah, so let us know in the comments below what your favorite shader is or what your least favorite shader is. And until Rise of Iron, We hope you guys are looking more forward to these lists. Forward more to the lists. How does that work? That'll conclude our Shader Top 10 list. Keep an eye out for the other top lists coming out later this week as Rise of Iron gets closer to us. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, I really would be much appreciated. And as always, until the next video, have a great day, everyone.